Hello everyone, welcome to the class once again. I hope you're all doing good and in the best of your health. So after learning the chapter kinematics, let's go and practice some questions based upon the JEE Mains problem. The problems that we'll be discussing today, that will be based upon the kinds of problems that will be asked in your JEE Mains examinations. Now let's go with the first question of the day that we have. In 1 second, a particle goes from point A to point B, moving in a semicircle as per this given figure. You can see this figure. As per this semicircle, the point traverses from point A to point B. The magnitude of average velocity is. Now you see here, as it moves from point A to point B, we have to find out its average velocity. So for average velocity, we know that we should know the displacement and we should know the time. The time is given, that is 1 second. You may just have a check on this. The time is given as 1 second. Now let's talk about its displacement. As it moves from A to B, although the path may be semicircular, but its actual displacement will be the minimum separation between A and B, and that is 1 meter is the radius of the semicircle. So that will be 1 plus 1, that is 2 meter, will be the average displacement. So let me write here the average displacement for this kind of motion, or for the separation between the initial and final point, that will come out to be 2 meter, and the time taken is 1 second. So very simple, this will turn out to be the average velocity will turn out to be average displacement upon time, that is 2 by 1, so that will be 2 meter per second. And let me tell you, although this question is very simple, but this question was asked in one of the previous JEE examination. So don't be worried that if you have any simple question also, JEE can ask simple questions also in your examination, and you should be ready with all the chapters. Now let's go ahead with the second one. And before that, let me rub this. The second problem of the day. A particle is moving eastwards with a velocity of 5 meter per second. In 10 seconds, the velocity changes to 5 meter per second northwards. Remember, the magnitude is not changing, the direction is changing. And here we know that velocity is speed with direction. Means you should have a magnitude of the speed with which the body is moving, and the direction, when you take both the magnitude and direction, that specifies completely the velocity. Next, the average acceleration this time is. The options are A 0, B 1 upon root 2 meter per square second towards northeast, C 1 upon root 2 meter per square second towards northwest, D 1 by 2 meter per square second towards north. So we are given with the magnitude, and we are also provided with the direction in each of the cases. Let's check what is the average acceleration in this time. This question is for acceleration. Now see, it says that it's moving with 5 meter per second towards east. The first line, it's moving eastwards with a velocity of 5 meter per second. So let us go with the solution. Its velocity is 5 meter per second initially. Now after 10 seconds, it started from here, it reached at this point. Now it changed its velocity to 5 meter per second, but towards north. This is the final velocity. This is the final velocity, that is 5 meter per second towards north. So I am marking V1 and V2 for two different velocities, although they have the same magnitude. This is one velocity when it is changing after some time, and this is the initial velocity. We know that average acceleration is change in velocity upon time. So let me write down. Average acceleration is change in velocity, so delta V upon delta T. Now with these two vector quantities, velocity is a vector quantity, how can you find out the change? Change will be simply V2 minus V1. So let me write down V2 velocity minus V1 velocity divided by the time taken. So that means we have to take the subtraction of these two vectors and we have to divide it by the time taken. Now you see, V2 minus V1. If I show you the V1 negative of V1 velocity, how it will look like, let me draw another diagram and let me only change the length. That will not be a big problem. See, this will be V1 minus of V1. This will be minus of V1. This will be V2. So that means we have to add these two vectors. the resultant will be somewhere here. This will be the resultant of V2 and minus V1. So let me write down this resultant as V2 velocity minus V1 velocity. Now, what will be the magnitude of this resultant? Let's try to find out that. So we have V2 velocity minus V1 velocity. This will come out to be, its magnitude will be simply under root V2 whole square plus V1 whole square minus twice of V1 V2 cos of the angle between them, and since angle is 90 degree, so that will turn out to be 0, minus twice of V2 and V1 and cos 90. So that's not a problem because that will turn out to be 0. This cos 90 is 0, so need not to worry about that. V2 whole square plus V1 whole square, that means 5 whole square plus 5 whole square, that will be 25 plus 25, that will turn out to be 50. So let me write, I believe that you all clearly can see up till this end. So let me go ahead and let me write down, this will turn out to be 5 whole square plus 5 whole square. So hence it comes out to be 25 plus 25, that is equal to 50. So hence the magnitude will actually turn out to be under root of 50. Let's go ahead with the acceleration portion, the average acceleration that we were intending to evaluate, that is delta V by delta T that we have written. So this will come out to be under root 50. This is the change in velocity. Magnitude I am talking about. Time taken is 10 seconds. Now if we solve this, see what we are going to get. This is 25 into 2. This can be written as 5 root 2. The same can be written as 5 root 2 meter per second divided by second, and that is 10 second. 5 by 10, that will be 1 by 2. Root 2 by 2, that will come out to be 1 by root 2. So average acceleration comes out to be 1 by root 2 meter per square second. This is the magnitude. So we are done with the magnitude. We are left with direction. Direction already I have depicted here. It's towards northwest. Now you see here why I am saying it exactly northwest, because V2 and this V1 both have the same magnitude and the magnitude is 5 meter per second. Now the average acceleration direction will be just in between these two, exactly lying at the bisector of these two lines, that is it will be bisector of this angle, that is 90 degrees. So it will be lying at 45 degree. So it will be directed towards the northwest. So the answer will be option number C. If you observe, 1 by root 2 meter per square second towards northwest. So this is the right answer for this problem. I hope that you have got this. Let me just clear the board and we will switch to the next problem. I hope that everything is clear to you all with this one. How you are going to find out the average acceleration if you are provided with the velocities. Now let's go with the next problem of the day. Third one. This is an interesting problem. From a tower of height h, capital H, a particle is thrown vertically upwards with a speed u. So you have taken a particle, you have thrown it upwards, it comes down. The time taken by the particle to hit the ground is n times that by it to reach the highest point of its path. The relation between h, u and n is. What you can do, you can pause the video and read this statement once again on your own. We have to find out relation between h, u and small n, and that is given as option number A, 2gh is equal to n square u square, B, g into capital H is equal to n minus 2 whole square into u square, C is 2gh equals to nu square into n minus 2, and D is gh equals to n minus 2 whole square into u square. So we don't know which of this option will fit best as per the given relation in the question. Now let us go with the problem solution. So let's start as per the given statement. It says that from a tower of height h, so I am going to draw a tower of height h. Let's say this is the tower that we were looking for. Its height is h. Now what we have done, we have taken a particle here. We have taken a particle here, thrown it with a speed u in the upward direction. What it will do, it will go up, it will come down. So it is traveling and finally hitting the ground somewhere here. As this moves and as it comes down. This is the overall scenario. I hope that you can clearly see this magenta color line that I have drawn. Now you see here, it says that total time taken is n times the time taken to reach the top at the highest point. So let us say to travel the highest point, it took time t1, not a problem. And to cover the entire journey from here, then to here, as it started, then to here, it takes time t2. I hope that this will be identifying the exact thing. It goes here, then comes back, it takes time t2. It's given that t2 is equal to n times of t1 as per this question statement. Read this statement once again. The time taken by the particle to hit the ground is n times that by it to reach the highest point of its path. Now, let's try to have a statement, let's try to make an equation for t1 and t2. Now see, for t1, the velocity at the highest point will be 0. The time taken is t1. So if we use v equals to u plus at, we can find out the time t1 relation. Now see, for its upward motion, at highest point the velocity becomes 0. At highest point, velocity becomes 0. This is what we know, because the body will come instantly at rest for a small time interval, for a small instant of time. Now you see here. So can we use v equals to u plus at? V is 0, u is u, time t is t1. Now a is g, that is directed downward, so I am using, I used here t1, this is, just miss this, minus g into t1. Why minus g? Because action due to gravity is acting in the downward direction, so use minus g as per shown here. G will be acting in the downward direction. Now from here, t1 will be equal to u by g, so let me write t1 is equal to u by g, and let me say that this is equation number 2. So we obtained the value of t1 in terms of u and g. Let's go ahead with the second, that is we need to find out what's the time taken to complete the entire motion. Time taken to complete the entire motion, let me do it here at this part of the board. For t2, see the displacement, the net displacement as it hits the ground, that will be equal to minus h. Why minus h? Because downward direction we are taking as negative. You see here, as it moves up and comes down, the displacement will be only taken from here to here. In class, I have told you, displacement is only taken from initial point and final point, and its sense also should be taken wisely. The equations of motion, the quantities that are given, that are related in equation of motion, those are vector quantities. So you have to mention displacement with proper direction. Don't use plus h. Now let me clarify this, the same thing. Here, as it hits the ground, the displacement that will come out to be, as it hits the ground, displacement is equal to minus h, because we are taking the downward direction as negative. So what you can use s equal to ut plus half at square. S equal to ut plus half at square. Now s is minus h, so let me use here minus h. U velocity, initial velocity u, time taken t2, a will be minus g, so minus half g t2 whole square. So we got this. Now you see here what we can do from here onwards. You just observe this statement. The first thing we have to find a relation between h, u and n. And it's given that t2 equals to nt1. So can we use from equation number 1 the value of t2 equals to nt1? So I am using t2 equals to nt1. See what we are going to get? We are going to get minus h is equal to u into, instead of t2 use nt1 minus half g, and t2 whole square, that will be n square t1 whole square. You can substitute the value of t1 that we have already evaluated. You can see here in this statement, in the equation, you can see t1 goes to u by g. Can we substitute the value of t1 from u by g here in equation number 2, u by g? and put that value here. See what we are going to get. We will be obtaining minus h is equal to u into n into u by g minus half g, and here we have n square t1 whole square, that will be u square by g square. This will be nu square by g. This will be 1g will be cancelled out. So let me show you that 1g is going to be cancelled out. So this will be minus half n square u square. So what I'm going to do, this part I believe that you all would have taken down. Not too tough for us to understand. And let me go ahead with the further part of the problem. Let me simplify this. Now from here, if I go ahead and if I multiply everywhere with g, if I multiply everywhere with g, I will be getting minus hg is equal to nu square and minus half, and here we will be having n square u square. This is one of the things we are obtaining after multiplying the entire equation with g. Now let's try to observe the option. You see here, gh here we are having, and here we are having also gh, but here we are not having something in the half. So what I'm going to do, here we are having 2gh, and option number A also we are having 2gh. Let us multiply, let's try to multiply 2 everywhere and also try to multiply minus sign everywhere. So we are going to multiply minus 2 with the entire equation. See what we are going to obtain. Minus 2 I am multiplying, so this will be 2hg is equal to minus 2 nu square, and here 2 will be cancelled out, and here will be left with plus n square u square. Let me simplify this. Here what you will be getting, 2hg is equal to, now observe this, we can take nu square as common. Here will be left n, and here will be left with minus 2. 2hg equals to nu square into n minus 2. So 2gh we are having, nu square n minus 2, the same option. So this is option number C, that is the right answer. I hope that you would have understood about how we have approached this problem, how we have done. Let me tell you, this problem has come in one of the previous year examinations, so you need to be very attentive and understand what kind of problems are to be asked in JEE main problems. Okay, and JEE main examination, these are actually a sample, and same kind of questions can be asked in your examinations. Let's go ahead. This was problem number 3. I believe that you would have understood. And once again, I'll give you a quick recap of how we are solving. Read the statement wisely. Try to understand what the statement is saying. Try to frame the equations as we went ahead. If you can draw a diagram as per the given question, try to. If you can draw a diagram, that will be better. Draw a diagram, see what things can you visualize from the diagram, frame equations, proceed and solve for each of the required variable. That will be wonderful to proceed. Let's go ahead. Let me clear the board and we'll be proceeding with the next problem. This was a good problem that we did just now. Although the approach, the right approach is required in this problem. You might think that the problem is simple, but if you start solving on your own, you'll find that somewhere you'll find that you are going to be trapped. Although the problem is simple, if you have the right approach, how to in equations, how you have to switch between terms, you have to think wisely and you can reach to the right solution. Let's go ahead with the next problem. Fourth one. A small block slides without friction down an inclined plane starting from rest. Let Sn be the distance traveled from t equals to n minus 1 to t equals to n. That is, we are talking about the distance traveled in nth second. This is distance traveled in nth second, that is given as Sn, because the distance traveled is from t equals to n minus 1 to t equals to n. Then Sn upon Sn plus 1 is, that is, distance traveled in nth second and distance traveled in n plus 1th second. I believe that you are remembering the formula for distance traveled in nth second. And if not, if suppose you forget, then what you have to do, you have to derive the formula instantly in the examination. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just derive instantly a formula for you all so that you can remember how nth distance traveled in nth second turns out to be. See here everyone, this is why I'm doing this, because you may forget how to find out the distance traveled in nth second. So distance traveled in nth second will be distance traveled in n seconds minus distance traveled in n minus 1 second. So distance traveled in n seconds will be distance traveled in nth second, that is s nth, is equal to Sn minus Sn minus 1. I am just showing you how, if you forget, how you can reach onto the formula instantly in the examination. Now Sn, we know that S equal to ut plus half at square, we know that. So this will be u, t is n, distance traveled in n second, ut plus half at square, and distance traveled in n minus 1 second will be S equal to ut plus half at square again. So u t plus half a t square. Now you have to subtract these two. So let us simplify this first. This will come out to be un minus u, and from here plus half, open this bracket, you will be having plus half an square, plus 1 you will be obtaining, so plus half a, the next term you will be having plus half a, then you will be having minus 2n, minus 2n into a by 2, 2 by 2 will be cancelled out, you will be left with minus an. This is what you will be left with. This is because minus 2n, 2 will be cancelled out, n into a, so minus an I have written down. So Sn minus Sn minus 1, see what you are going to obtain. Remember these terms that I am using, Sn and Sn minus 1, these are not the same that is given as Sn here. This is the distance traveled in nth second that we will be using later on. Right now we are using distance traveled in n seconds, distance traveled in n minus 1 seconds. Now distance traveled in nth second will be this. You see here, u1 minus u1 will be cancelled out, then this and this minus minus will become plus, so we will be having plus. So we used how many terms? We used this term, this term, this term we have used. Half an square will be cancelled out. This will be minus half a and this will be plus an. Plus an minus half a. So you can remember this equation for distance traveled in nth second. So distance traveled in nth second, let me write a proper equation. Nth second will be u, then again you can go ahead with plus an minus half a. This is one equation. If you remember, if you can by heart it, it will be very good for you. U plus an minus half a. That's quite simple for us to easily remember it. Now, as per the question, let's proceed as per the question. It says that we have to find out the distance traveled in nth second upon distance traveled in n plus 1th second. So, I am just making it simple for you all to understand. Here we have, now see, it starts from rest, moves down in an inclined plane. You see here, read the statement of the question. A block slides without friction down an inclined plane. That means starting from rest, u will be 0. Starting from rest, let Sn be the distance traveled from t equals to n minus 1 to t equals to n, that is Snth, then Sn upon Sn minus 1. Options you all can see A, B, C and D. We need to verify which one of them is true. Snth, u is 0, I am going to use this formula. Then u is 0, you put u as 0, an minus half a you will be left with an minus half a. Although the body moves down an inclined plane, you must be thinking that why we are using a, why not g cos theta we are using, or g sin theta as it turns out to be. It will be g sin theta actually, but we'll be seeing that what a role has got to play. You see in the answer, a has got no role to play. Okay, so we'll check if we have any role, then we'll put a equals to g sin theta. That will be do later on. Now for Sn plus 1, put here only n plus 1. You'll be having an plus 1 minus half a. An plus 1 minus half a. So we obtained this. Now see, a and a will be cancelled out from top and bottom, taking common. So you'll be left with n minus half divided by n plus 1 minus half. You will be obtaining this, as a and a will be cancelled out. So n minus half upon n plus half, this you will be obtaining. N minus half upon n plus half. Take 2 as the LCM, you will be left with 2n minus 1 upon 2n plus 1. This is the required ratio, 2n minus 1 upon 2n plus 1. So let me go ahead and let me show you, let me check the answer. 2n minus 1 upon 2n plus 1. Can you see this option number C? 2n minus 1 upon 2n plus 1. So I believe that you would be having the idea that we got the right result. That is, option number C is the right answer. That is 2n minus 1 upon 2n plus 1. Here in this problem, how you can solve it instantly if you remember the distance traveled in nth second. And that is u plus an minus half a. The same formula has been derived in the class also. But here I derived this once again so that you may understand. If you forget that formula, if you're not sure about what that formula is in your mind is right or wrong, you can derive it instantly. It will take 1 minute time, but you can save that if you remember the formula. This is how we did. We knew the formula. For s nth, we put the value of n equals to n. And then for s equal sn plus 1, we put the value of n as n plus 1. And then we took the ratio we got, that is 2n minus 1 upon 2n plus 1. This is how we can approach such kind of problem. Let's go ahead with the next one. And before that, let me clear the board. I believe that you all find these problems interesting, and you must be with the same as we proceed with, and with the same inspiration you are going to also understand and solve more problems of such pattern from your textbook. Now, suppose if you want to practice also, you can, after watching this video, as you watch also, as you see the question that appears on the board, you can just pause the video and try on your own. If you get the right answer, that's well and good. If you don't get, just watch the solution that I am discussing with you all. Next problem. A boat which has a speed of 5 km per hour in still water crosses a river of width 1 km along the shortest possible path in 15 minutes. I believe that you must be remembering the shortest possible path, the shortest possible distance that I have talked with you in the river boat problem. Along the shortest possible path in 15 minutes, the velocity of the river water in km per hour is. So we have to find out the velocity of river that is. Now see, for the river and boat problem, I have discussed such kind of problem in the class. Suppose let's say this is the river, and along this river, the river must be flowing along one side. Let me show you how the river is flowing. Let us say this is velocity of river. This is flowing towards right. Now, the boat crosses the river along the shortest possible path. The shortest possible path will be what? You see, this is the shortest possible path that I have traversed, that I have made here. So this will be the net velocity of the boat should be along this line. The net velocity of the boat should be along this line, and this shortest possible path is given as the width. Let me mark this as W, that is width, that is 1 km. This is the shortest possible path. Its net velocity has to be along this path. That is, velocity of boat with respect to ground should be along this path. So let me show you a vectorial notation, and let me show you separately here. This is velocity of river with respect to ground. Vectorial notation. This is velocity of boat with respect to ground as per the given statement within the question. Now we don't know about velocity of boat with respect to river, where it will be directed. Now see here, we know that velocity of boat with respect to river is velocity of boat with respect to ground minus velocity of river with respect to ground. This I have told you in the class how to frame such equations. Now velocity of boat with respect to ground will be what? Velocity of boat with respect to ground will be velocity of boat with respect to river plus velocity of river with respect to ground. This is what we can frame from this equation. We can reach here. Velocity of boat with respect to ground will be velocity of boat with respect to river plus velocity of river with respect to ground. That means, see here, velocity of boat with respect to ground is here, and you have to add two vectors to get this vector. That means velocity of boat with respect to river should be here. he should try to drive his boat along this direction. This is the velocity of boat with respect to river. That means he should try to row the boat along this direction. As he tries to row along this direction, his net velocity will turn out to be automatically along this direction. So let me show that this angle is theta. I hope that this diagram should be clear to you all. Let me show that this angle is theta. Now what you do, he is traveling along this line, the time taken is given as 15 minutes. The distance you know, the distance is 1 kilometer as I have shown here. Why not to find out the velocity of boat with respect to ground? The velocity of boat with respect to ground will be simply shortest distance divided by time taken. Shortest distance is 1 kilometer. Time taken is 15 minutes. Can we write that as 1 by 4 of an hour? 15 minutes, so 1 by 4 of an hour. So this will turn out to be 4 kilometer per hour. So this is velocity of boat with respect to ground. You got that as 4 kilometer per hour along the upward direction that is directly directed here from, let's say, this initial point A to the final point B. This value we got. Now see, this value, its entire component, or see, its entire part will be the vertical component of this velocity. So we can write velocity of boat with respect to river into sine theta will be equal to velocity of boat with respect to ground. Let me write here from the vectorial diagram. Velocity of boat with respect to river sine theta will be equal to velocity of boat with respect to ground. Not a problem. Quite simple, quite easy. We can write that velocity of boat with respect to river sine theta equals to velocity of boat with respect to ground. We have this value. We have this value, velocity of boat with respect to river. Already it's given, that is 5. You see here, a boat which has a speed of 5 km per hour in still water. That means velocity of boat with respect to river is given as 5 km per hour because that is the speed in still water. So 5 sine theta is equal to velocity of boat with respect to ground, that is 4. So sine theta comes out to be 4 by 5. So hence theta will be 53 degree. That's quite obvious. Okay, I'm writing it separately also. Not a problem. Sine theta is 4 by 5. You can easily evaluate that. Now we want what is the velocity of river with respect to ground. You see here, velocity of boat with respect to river, its horizontal component is going to cancel out the velocity of river with respect to ground. That means if I write it as per the vector diagram, I'm rubbing this part. If I write completely, so I'll be writing velocity of boat with respect to river, its horizontal component cos theta will be equal to velocity of, let me use only magnitude, velocity of river with respect to ground. From here, velocity of boat with respect to river cos theta, that will come out to be, this is 5 VBR, 5 cos theta, cos 53 will be 3 by 5 is equal to velocity of river with respect to ground. This turns out to be 3. So hence velocity of river with respect to ground will be nothing but 3 km per hour. Clear? Velocity of river with respect to ground comes out to be 3 km per hour. Once again, read this statement of this question. A boat which has a speed of 5 km per hour, we use that, is in still water, crosses a river of width 1 km per hour along the shortest possible path. This shortest possible path has got a meaning because the boat has to be driven along this direction. The velocity of the river water in km per hour is option A 1, B 3, C 4, D root 41 in km per hour. That is option number B is the right answer as we went through with proper approach. Now in this problem will be very much easy for you all if you can understand and write down the equation and write down and make a diagram also. Everything will be clear to you all as you make the diagram. So I hope that this question solution would be useful for you all in solving more problems based upon the same thing. So we'll proceed further. What to do before going further, you can take note of all these things and let me proceed as I rub the board. Take note of all these things. Okay, I hope that you would have understood this, how to approach such kind of problem. Now we will approach with the next problem. This one, sixth one, it's a lengthy question. Just let's see it. A particle of mass m moves on the x-axis as follows. It starts from rest at t equals to 0 from the point x equal to 0 and comes to rest at t equals to 1 second. No other information is available about its motion at intermediate times, that is for 0 to 1, time for 0 to 1. If alpha denotes the instantaneous acceleration of the particle, then A, alpha cannot remain positive for all t in the interval 0 to 1. That's time is running from 0 to 1, as you can see here. Option number B, modulus of alpha, that is magnitude of alpha, cannot exceed 2 at any point in its path. We'll check that. C, modulus of alpha, magnitude of alpha must be greater than or equal to 4 at some point or points in its path. We'll check that also. Option number D, alpha must change sign during the motion, but no other assertion can be made with the information given. So let us check all the options. So what you do, just have a quick look on the question once again, and I will just clear the board and we'll start as you read the question once again. So I believe that you would have taken down the question and you have read and understood the question. Now you see here, it says that the particle is at rest at t equals to 0 and at t equals to 1 second. Now from t equals to 0 to t equals to 1 second, the particle would have traversed x equal to 1. That means at t equals to 0, it started from x equal to 0, and at t equals to 1, it is again at x equal to 1. That means the total displacement of the body will be of magnitude 1. Now let me show you how the body will be moving actually and how its velocity will be changing. Now see, this body is moving along x-axis from x equal to 0 to x equal to 1. First of all, it's moving, it is having an acceleration, that means its velocity has to increase and then to decrease. So if I draw a VT curve, how will it look like? Let me show you all here. Let me draw here a VT curve. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to draw a velocity time curve for this motion. The velocity time curve will be somewhat like this. Let me show you the velocity on y-axis and the time along x-axis. This is the y-axis that we'll be using for velocity, and here I'm showing time axis. Now you see here, as the body is coming to 0 velocity at t equals to 1 second, so I have to increase the velocity first and then I have to decrease the velocity. So let me draw some kind of curve as I'm going to show you all here. The curve can be somewhat like this. It can be in this way. So for this standard curve, what I have taken that for t equals to 1 by 2, the particle velocity is increasing. See, first of all, I have taken that for t equals to 1 by 2, the particle velocity is increasing, and then for the next half time, the particle velocity is decreasing. This is t equals to 1 second. That is what that has been given in the statement of the question. This is t equals to 1 second. Now further, let's go ahead. We know that displacement is given by area under the curve. This is the maximum velocity. Understand? This is the maximum velocity at this point. Now, since displacement is 1, so the area under the curve, we know that that is displacement. So let me show you all here. This area will be the displacement of the body. So area under VT curve, if we evaluate for this kind of curve, see how it's going to look like. This area will be equal to half into base into height. You see the base is 1, height is V max. Try to understand, height is V max. Let me show you all here. This is the height, that is V max. So half into base, that is 1, into V max, and this area under the curve is actually displacement. So let me show you that this is displacement, that is S. Now for this, we know that S is 1, so V max will be what? V max will be 2 2 into s divided by this time, that is 1. So s is actually 1, so 2 into 1 divided by 1. So we got that velocity, maximum velocity is, its magnitude is 2. I'm not saying it's 2 meter per second because the unit of displacement is not been provided. So you see the first statement, we have to talk about alpha. We need not to talk about velocity, so we cannot talk about alpha right now. Second, also it's asking about alpha. Third, also alpha and alpha. So we need to talk about acceleration. Now before proceeding with the acceleration, we got that maximum velocity is 2 meter per second. So let me go ahead and let me show you one more curve. Note this, the maximum velocity is 2 meter per second or 2 in magnitude. Now I am going to draw again a VT curve, but this time in a different way. Let's say this line, this horizontal line that I am going to draw here, this depicts maximum velocity Vmax, that is 2 meter per second or 2, magnitude 2. Now see, for t equals to 0 to t equals to half that we've assumed, the particle velocity was increasing. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you a curve from t equals to 0 to t equals to half, the particle velocity is increasing. And then from t equals to half to t equals to 1, the particle velocity is decreasing. So we got that, the maximum velocity, that is 2, and this is time t equals to 1. Now how can the velocity deviate from this curve? Either the velocity, we know that maximum velocity is 2, that is fixed. Now you see here, I'm going to draw a different curves that could be a possibility. The velocity may increase till here for some time, and then the velocity decreases for rest of the time period. This curve can also be a possibility. Let me call this curve 1. Let me call this curve 2. The third possibility, the velocity may accelerate for more time compared to the t equals to half second. So velocity can increase for more time. So let me show you all here. The third kind of curve that could be a possibility, that can be this one. Oh, I've drawn a lengthier curve, a longer curve. Let's see this, that I should draw a smaller curve. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you here how the velocity is varying for this case as per this curve. So here I'm showing you here how the velocity is varying for t somewhat more. You may record this as the third curve. Curve number 1, curve number 2, and curve number 3. 3 curves I have shown you all here in this case. Only these 3 possibilities can be possibility. Now let's talk about acceleration. The first one, observe this. For t equals to 0 to t equals to half, body is linearly accelerating and its velocity is reaching to maximum, that is 2. So if I talk about curve 2, for curve 2, acceleration is change in velocity divided by time, delta v by time. Time is here half, so delta v is 2, 0 to 2, and time is half. So acceleration will come out to be 4. So alpha for curve 2 comes out to be 4. First thing, alpha comes out to be 4. Now the possibility can be any of the curve. Possibility can be any of the curve, since displacement is 1, possibility can be any of the curve, because now base into height, that will be same for all the 3 triangles that I have drawn you here. So displacement will be same in all the 3 cases. Now you all see what is the value of acceleration in each of the 3 cases. For case 1, the body has an acceleration that is greater than 4, because the curve has more slope here. See, acceleration will be more, and here the deceleration will be less than 4. For curve number 2, the acceleration will be 4 and retardation will be also 4. For curve number 3, acceleration will be less than 4 and retardation will be more than 4. So if I talk about each kind of possibility that we are having, so I am going to show you all here. For curve number 1, alpha, for acceleration we are having, acceleration will be greater than 4 and retardation will be less than 4. This is possibility for curve number 1. For curve number 2, acceleration is equal to 4 and retardation is also equal to 4. For curve number 3, acceleration will be less than 4. You see, curve number 3, acceleration will be less than 4. Retardation greater than 4. This I'm only talking about the magnitudes. The acceleration is for some time and then body has to deaccelerate so that its velocity reaches to 0. Now let's talk about each of the option. Now see, we have to only talk about for time t equals 0 to 1. Then if alpha denotes the instantaneous acceleration of the particle, now we have full idea about the acceleration. Option number A, alpha cannot remain positive for all t in the interval 0 to 1. That's right, alpha cannot remain positive because alpha is once positive, once it has to be negative because velocity has to be decreased. Yes, option number A is true. What about option number B? Alpha cannot exceed 2, modulus alpha cannot exceed 2 at any point in its path. It is exceeding 2 because it has got a value more than 4. So we have modulus alpha cannot exceed 2. No, it can exceed. This is what we have. Modulus alpha must be greater than or equal to 4 at some point or points in its path. Yes, it's more than 4, modulus of alpha. Here you see we have modulus alpha more than 4, here we have equal to 4, and here modulus of alpha, that is retardation, that is also greater than 4 because that will be its magnitude is greater than 4. So option number C is also true. D, alpha must change sign during the motion. Yes, it's changing sign, but no other assertion can be made with this all the information given. So since second statement of this option number D is incorrect, so I am marking this as incorrect. Option number A is true, B is incorrect, C is true, and D is incorrect. So we have got more than one choice correct answer in this pattern, but normally JEE Mains will be having only one choice correct, but this for your knowledge, it will be would be helpful how to solve such kind of question. So you can draw a curve and then you can go ahead and proceed with the question. This question, how we approached, we plotted a VT curve, we got velocity max, we calculated the displacement, the other kinds of curve that will be possibility I have shown you all here, and then we approached by calculating the magnitude of the acceleration and retardation. This is how we approached in this problem. So let's go ahead with the next one. Prior to that, let me clear the board. And we'll start with the next one. So let's proceed with the next one. Question number 7. A person sitting on the top of a tall building is dropping balls at regular intervals of 1 second. Dropping balls at regular intervals of 1 second. Find the position of the third, fourth, and fifth ball when the sixth ball is being dropped. No option given, need not to worry, but this kind of question can be asked in main with options. The question can be having only one thing, find the position of the third ball, but we have just increased the requirement of the question with this kind of problem. Let me go ahead and let me show you all here the problem statement, how will it look like. First of all, let me draw the diagram. The person is standing on the top of a tower. See here. I believe that this diagram would be clear to you. He is dropping balls. You see here he is dropping balls. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you at the interval of 1 second, he is going on dropping ball. If he drops the first ball, this first ball will travel for 1 second and then the second ball will be dropped. So between first and second, you try to understand between first and second, the time gap will be of 1 second. Then when this second ball travels for 1 second, third ball is going to drop. So what I'm going to show you, one change here. If he is going to drop the third ball, the first ball will be somewhat here, the second ball will be here, and third ball would be here. So the time difference, you see, this third ball is just starting, first ball would have traveled 2 seconds. When third ball is starting, first ball would have traveled 2 seconds, second ball would have traveled only 1 second. Let's talk about what about when he drops the fourth ball. So I'm going to rub this diagram. When he drops the fourth ball, first ball would be somewhere here. This is second ball, this is third ball, this is fourth ball. So first ball would have traveled in total, that is 3 seconds. Second ball would have traveled 2 seconds. Third ball would have traveled only 1 second. In the next, he is going to drop fifth ball and then he is going to drop sixth ball. So find the positions of the third, fourth and fifth ball when the sixth ball is being dropped. So what I'm going to show you, when in the similar manner if we approach, when he drops the sixth ball, where will be the position of all the balls will lie. Let's say this is first ball. It will travel for a time 5 seconds because sixth ball is being dropped. When the sixth ball is being dropped, he is going to release. So the time that the first ball would have traveled, just now I illustrated the same thing. It will be 5. Second ball would be somewhat here. It would have traveled only 4 seconds. This would be third ball. This would be fourth ball. This would be fifth ball. And we would be having the sixth ball he is going to drop just now. Find the position of third ball. So third ball is here. It would have traveled how much time? Try to understand. It would have traveled only 3 seconds. See, 1, 2, 3 seconds. Third ball. Fourth ball would have traveled only 2 seconds. So I am going to show you here. This time is 2 seconds. And fifth ball would have traveled only for 1 second. So I have mentioned everything here. So position of third ball, let me go ahead and mention the position of third ball. Position of third ball. What we can do? Third ball has traversed for time that is 3. Use s equal to ut plus half at square. And go ahead with the problem. U is 0 plus half. Let's keep the a value as 10 and t value as 3. So you are going to get 9 into 5, that is 45 meter. That means at a depth of, or let's say at a level of 45 meter from the top of the building, the ball would be positioned. It will be somewhere here, that is 45 meter. Similarly, you can find out the position of fourth ball. So for fourth ball, use s equal to ut plus half at square. S is equal to ut plus half at square. The only thing that you have to see, u is 0, half at square. So half into 10 and t value will be 2 because it will travel only 2 seconds. Fourth ball only for 2 seconds. Substitute the value, you are going to obtain the answer. 5 into 4, that will be 20 meter. So at a level of 20 meter it will be lying. So for fifth ball, now I believe that you can go ahead and solve it on your own. S equal to ut, u is 0 plus half into 10 into fifth ball would have traveled only 1 second. So this comes out to be half into 10, that is 5 meter. So 5, 20, 45. This would have traveled only 5 meter. This would have traveled 20 meter. And this would have traveled 45 meter. This is the position of third, fourth and fifth ball. This was the requirement of the question. So if you make a diagram, if you understand how the scenario is proceeding, you can go ahead, you can solve the question very easily. Now we are solving this question because such kind of question can be asked in your mains examination. It's a moderate question, not too tough, not too easy. You should have the idea about solving such kind of questions. Let's go ahead with the 8th one. This question, let's see how we're going to do it. A police jeep is chasing a culprit going on a motorbike. The motorbike crosses a turning at a speed of 22 km per hour. The jeep follows it at a speed of 90 km per hour, crossing the turning 10 seconds later than the bike. It's than, not that, than the bike. Assuming that they travel at constant speeds, how far from the turning will the jeep catch up with the bike? This is from, not from. Don't worry about all these small things. From the turning will the jeep catch with this bike? So let me show you the scenario, how it will be looking, how it will be. Suppose we have this as the turning. This is the turning and the motorcycle crosses the turning. So let me show you a motorbike that is crossing the turning. 3 arms, not a possibility. This is motorbike. The police jeep is lying behind. This is the jeep. Try to take it as a jeep. Police jeep is lying behind and is chasing. Now, this policeman, let me show you that this policeman I am depicting by VM, man, and let me depict the culprit, the thief, as VC, the culprit. Each of the speed of is given, this is 90 kmph, and this is given as 72 km per hour. So, if first of all, can we do one thing? Can we change this speed in meter per second? So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to write directly velocity of policeman. 90 is actually 25 meter per second. Velocity of culprit, that is 72 km per hour, that will come out to be 20 meter per second. First thing. Now you see here, as he crosses the turn, the policeman takes 10 seconds to reach here. You see here, the jeep follows it at a speed of 90 km per hour, crossing turning 10 seconds later. 10 seconds, it took 10 seconds to reach from here to this turning. Let's see what will be the distance of this. So, as it travels, this will be having some value. The policeman would have traveled for 10 seconds. Now, to reach here, the distance that the policeman would have traveled to reach the turning, distance traveled by policeman to reach the turning, distance traveled by policeman, can I use PM in short, to reach turning, that will be his speed into 10 seconds. That is one thing we can draw from this. From to reach turning, that is 10 seconds, so I can mark this as 25 into 10, that is 250 meter. Speed into time will give the distance because the policeman is only traveling, so that is 25 into 10, so that will come out to be 250 meter. Assuming that they travel at constant speeds, how far from the turning will the jeep catch up with the bike? How far from the turning? They are moving constant speed. Now, at the turning, the policeman, how far would have traveled to catch the thief? So, let us see that this is what we have solved, that is of how we can proceed. If I show you this line, now in the next, till the time the policeman has reached here in 10 seconds, this thief would have traveled further ahead. So, let me show you, this thief would have moved ahead. In the next 10 seconds, it would have moved somewhat here. Let me show you here. So, how much distance this man would have traveled? This would be speed of the thief into 10. This much he would have traversed. So, this will come out to be speed of thief VC into 10. So, it will come out to be VC, that is 20 into 10, that is 200 meter. So, we got this 200 meter. This is what the distance that he is going to travel. Now, you see here, we are going to use the concept of relative velocity. Let me stop the thief here. The policeman will start traveling with the relative speed of himself with respect to the thief. So, if I stop the thief here, the velocity of policeman with respect to culprit will be velocity of policeman minus velocity of culprit, and let us use a proper, that is with velocity with respect to ground. Velocity of policeman with respect to ground minus velocity of culprit with respect to ground. Let's proceed. Velocity of policeman with respect to ground, that is 25 minus 20, both are in same direction, that will come out to be 5 meter per second. To cover 200 meter, how much time they will take to cover 200 meter? The relative distance is 200 meter. To cover 200 meter, time taken, time t, distance upon relative speed, that is 40 seconds, quite obvious. That means from the turning, after 40 seconds, the policeman is going to hold the thief, to have a hold on the thief, that means to catch. He will catch the thief after 40 seconds. in this 40 seconds, the actual distance traversed by the thief will be what? Let's see here, the actual distance traversed by thief. So distance traversed by thief in 40 seconds. Oh, I'm sorry, distance traveled by policeman, because the policeman is actually holding him from behind. So distance traveled by policeman, then only you can get the distance from the turning. So distance traveled by policeman, or let me do it at the top, that would give us more space. Or let me use directly distance traversed, that will be equal to speed of policeman, that is 25 into time, that is 40. So 25 into 400, that is 1000 meter. So from the turning, the policeman would have traveled 1000 meter, that is 1 kilometer to hold the thief, that means to catch the thief. So this is your answer. The answer will be, in total, to hold the thief from the turning, the policeman has to travel 1 kilometer. Assuming that they travel at constant speed, how far from the turning will the jeep catch up with the bike? How far from the turning? It will be 1 kilometer or 1000 meter. I believe that you've understood stepwise as I have solved this question, not too tough. And even this, I have shown you that policeman would have traveled 250 meter. That is of no use in this problem. Let's go ahead with the next one. And let me rub this. Read, very interesting question. And such kind of question even can come in advance also and in mains also. Two ships, 1 and 2, move with constant velocities 3 meter per second and 4 meter per second along two mutually perpendicular straight tracks towards the intersection point O. At the moment t equals to 0, the ships were located at a distance 120 meter and 200 meter from the point O. How soon will the distance between the ships become the shortest and what it is equal to? Try to understand the problem statement. I'm going to draw the diagram, that will be very much helpful for you all to understand. Let me draw the diagram here. They are moving along perpendicular directions. So I'm going to show you, let's say one ship is moving through this end and one ship is moving through this end. It says that the ships were located at a distance 120 meter and 200 meter and they are moving with different velocities. So 3 meter per second, that is lying at 120 meter. V1, that is 3 meter per second. It is initially lying at a separation of, that is given as 120 meter. Now one more ship is moving towards the right hand, towards the common corner with a speed 4 meter per second, and initially it's lying here. Let me show that this distance is 200 meter. Let me show you very clearly without any confusion. I hope that you can see clearly till this end. So this is 200 meter. 1 and 1, we are done. Now see what we have to solve in this question. I have shown the scenario. Two ships 1 and 2, 1 and 2 move with constant velocities 3 meter per second, 4 meter per second along two mutually perpendicular straight tracks that I have shown you here towards the intersection point O. So this is the intersection point O towards which they are traveling, they are commuting, they are trying to reach here. The ships were located at distances 120 meter and 200 meter from the point O initially. How soon will the distance between the ships become the shortest and what is it equal to? So let's go ahead. You have to solve each step. Now as they travel, let's say after some time t, first ship is here. So this distance will be how much? This distance will be 3t. It started motion from here, let's say. And this distance in the same time t, it would have moved till here. This would be 4t. Now shortest distance we have to talk about. This will be the shortest distance. Let me have a hold on this. Let me show you that it has reached till here. Clear. Now try to understand, let's say this distance is L. The leftover distance, this will be 120 minus 3t, and this distance will be 200 minus 40. Done. We are done with this 200 minus 40 and 120 minus 3t. So L, I am going to write the formula for L. the distance that we can see, it will be under root of 120 minus 3t whole square plus 200 minus 40 whole square. This is what we'll be having as per the given statement within the question. Let's solve this. L equals to this much. We got, it's a case of maxima and minima. We have to find out how soon will the distance between the shortest, and before that we have to find about shortest distance in the given time. So can I solve, it's a case of maxima or minima, so dl by dt. First of all, we need to solve this. If I write L, we can write L as, and once again let me show you how L can be written so that differentiation will be easy. So L will be 120 minus 3t whole square plus 200 minus 40 whole square, and the entire is in under root, so I'm going to show you that we have an under root here, so 1 by 2 here. Now we can go ahead easily and we can differentiate this. So dl by dt, half entire thing to the power minus 1 by 2 it will be. So first of all, this, the first part will be half, and then under root of this entire thing. So let me write here 120 minus 3t whole square plus 200 minus 40 whole square power 1 by 2. Now we have to differentiate this term. So first part is this. This differentiation will come out to be 2 into 120 minus 3t multiplied with, now you have to also differentiate these two terms, 0 and minus 3. I hope that you all must be knowing that how to differentiate all this, plus 2 into 200 minus 40 in the similar way, minus 4 here. So we got this as the differentiation part of this function. So we have shown you here. So if I put dl by dt is equal to 0, we will get a value of t. So what do you get? First of all, you find out that value of t. Since it's only calculation portion, I'm going to write down directly the value of t. That will come out to be 46.4 second. First of all, you can do that. You can find out the value of t, that will be 46.4 second. Very easily you can solve this entire equation. This entire equation, put that this is equal to 0, you can get the value of t. Since it's a calculation portion, so I'm leaving it up to you, you can solve it. So what you do, take note till here for the entire statement, and let me start from the other end. So I believe that you would have taken down t equals to 46.4 second, and after this let me go ahead and let me find out the minimum value of L. So L formula is this. So if I put here t equals to 46.4, although calculations involved, but we can easily solve this. The L minimum will come out to be, put here under root 120 minus 3t whole square plus 200 minus 40 whole square. So I'm directly writing L minimum. If you put here t equals to 46.4, you will get that as 24 meter. This is the minimum value of L that you will be obtaining. Only thing that you have to do at t equals to 46.4 second, you have to substitute this value. So this is how you are going to find out the minimum value of L. Interesting question. Now you should know and have an idea how to solve such kind of shortest distance or minimum distance question. Let's go ahead with the next one. And let us complete this exercise, and I hope that this would be a learning experience for you all to solve such kind of JEE main related problems. 10th one, sorry. Two cars traveling in parallel lines at 90 km per hour and 72 km per hour. Assuming each car to be 5 meter long, find the time taken during the overtake and the total road distance used for the overtake. We need to find out time taken during the overtakes. I will show you a diagram. Very interesting diagram this will be. Two cars traveling on two parallel tracks. You see here. One car will be here. Its length is 5 meter.
This is one car, and there's another car which is trying to overtake it from behind. So try to understand. I will show you another car is trying to overtake from behind. Although I am showing you different length of the car, but see that both are of the same length. So each speed is given. Its speed is 72 km per hour. It's 90 km per hour. So speed of first, that is 72 km per hour, and for the second one the speed is 90 km per hour. Now one thing, can we change the speed in meter per second? Just now we did that. 72 can be written as 20 meter per second, and this 90 km per hour can be written as 25 meter per second. Now see here, we have to find the time taken during the overtake. When this car overtakes, it has to move, see how much distance. If I stop this car and if it starts moving, first of all its front end will cross it, will reach here. In doing so, now see, front end starts from here and reaches to this end. It means the front end would have traveled 5 meter. Now you try to understand, when the front part reaches here and starts crossing the car, the rear part would move the front end of this car. It would again travel 5 meter. So to completely overtake, the distance traveled would be 5 plus 5, that is equal to 10 meter. So to overtake, I am talking about relative distance, not the actual distance. To overtake, relative distance traversed will be 5 plus 5, that is 10 meter. So time taken, and before doing that, can I write the relative speed of 2 with respect to 1? So velocity of 2 with respect to 1, quite easy, 25 minus 20, that is what we have to do. So I am not showing you the long equation, that is 5 meter per second. So time taken to overtake, that will be 10 by v of 2/1, velocity of 2 with respect to 1. Velocity of 2 with respect to 1, that is 5, so 10 by 5, that comes out to be 2 seconds. So we got this, in 2 seconds it would be completely overtaking. But this is not the actual distance on road that it would have traveled. The actual distance will be, and the total road distance used for the overtake. So we know the speeds. This car has been stopped. The total road distance, the distance moved by this car, the car with a speed of 90 km per hour, that is 25 meter per second. So actual road distance traversed would be in 2 seconds. Actual road distance will be speed of the second car, v2 multiplied by 2 seconds. 2 seconds it has actually crossed it. So we got it because just now we evaluated, time taken is 2 seconds. So v2, that is 25 into 2, that is 50 meter. 10 meter was the relative distance, 50 meter is the actual road distance traveled by the second car to overtake. Hope that this question was useful for you all to understand, and this would have actually simplified your relative velocity kind of understanding. So all these 10 questions would be very much helpful for you all to understand the pattern of question asked in JEE Main examination in this chapter, that's motion in a straight line. You can solve more for your satisfaction. We'll be seeing the next exercise in the next class. Till the time, thank you everyone. Wish you all the very best.